We want to ask you a little bit about your ghostwriting. And we want to know, just because you've done it for people like Diddy, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Dre.
Mm-hmm.
Those are huge names.
Wait. Explain though why this is.
I know,
one
I'm
of our hot
getting
takes.
there.
Okay,
yeah,
for the week.
I'm getting there.
Okay, my bad.
Those are huge names. And I'm assuming that with those huge names, I don't know if like an NDA comes into play, or we just want to know what's the backstory to like actually having a successful ghostwriting situation. Because what happened was with Quentin Miller, I don't know if you kind of caught
see the
that
video this
video.
week?
I didn't see the video. I heard about it though.
And, I look on socials and I see like producers and, other people that were involved with the artists, and they get to talk about how proud they are of the shit, And, it's different for me. It's pretty much taboo for me to even talk about it. I pretty much try to act like it don't even exist. The biggest project of my entire career, right? And that's pretty strange, but unfortunately, I don't have the good memories about it that everybody has. My good memories were all murdered, you know what I'm saying? Like the day Meek Mandela, y'all buying that bullshit since he came out of jail, like he's whatever.
We just want to know what's the rules with ghostwriting.
I mean, I think there's just rules in relationships. You know what I mean? Like, with every situation, I think it's probably different. Whatever agreement that him and Drake had, he should honor that. Not saying that he didn't. I don't know.
Right, because we don't know the inner workings of the situation.
Yeah, I don't know. But if it was like a thing where he was supposed to write songs for Drake and keep it secret, if that's what he agreed to, that's what he should do.
Right.
Because
I feel like in the past, when you've written for people, it's been pretty public, right? It hasn't been like a secret or anything.
Yeah. It's like, because Puff and Dre, they're not like MCs.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're visionaries. They're producers. So no big deal. I've never secretly written for anybody and had to keep a secret, but I disagree with, like them celebrating the album. I feel like he's one of the most celebrated ghostwriters I've ever seen in hip hop in the history of hip hop.
But maybe he just felt like his credit wasn't being given to him.
Well, he said that just like because the stuff that happened with like him getting into with Meek Mill, and he was talking about how Meek and Drake are friends now.
And then he kind of got asked out in that situation.
Yeah, he's like, everybody has fond memories of this situation, but me, like, I had all this bad shit happen to me. So, but what I wanted to ask you though, because you were talking about Dre, and of course, 2001 on the West Coast is it's like the Bible to us.
Everywhere.
It's everywhere. But one of my favorite songs, man, was The Message, and I know you wrote that. And how did that even come about, man? Because that song is incredible.
A friend of mine got killed, like right before Dre reached out to me, and it's interesting the way that Dre reached out. I was about to do a deal with Herbie Lovebug.
Herbie Lovebug Starsky?
Yeah, Herbie Lovebug. But he wasn't. The deal was like on the table, and he was like, his phone etiquette just started slipping. And it was like we were like reaching out to him.
Phone etiquette. We're gonna get back to that, but continue.
Yeah, he was just not accessible after a certain point.
Okay.
And I remember being on the phone with Marshall. Marshall had just signed his deal with Dre, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about doing this deal with Herbie Lovebug." He was like, "What?
He's like, "Don't
You
do
ain't
that."
doing no deal with no Herbie Lovebug."
I feel like that deserves a button.
Deal with Herbie Lovebug. You ain't doing no deal with Herbie Lovebug. So he went and played my he gave Dre my demo that I was shopping at the time, and I was at my parents' house, and my dad came in the room and was like, "Ryan, somebody named Dr. Dre is on the phone for you." I was like, "What?" Got on the phone like,
He
"Hello."
just called your mom's house like that?
Just called, cold call, landline. So I was like, "Hello, what's up? It's Dre." Man,
Imagine
my
Dre
stomach,
calling your house, your mom's house at that, right? Your mom's house?
My heart hit the bottom of my stomach. You know what I'm saying? Like I never even like talked to a celebrity before. Seen one, like I'm from Detroit, man. Like we don't.
Yeah.
You see Joe Dumars at the gas station. It's a big, huge deal. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, "Yo, I like your shit." He was like, "I want to know if you want to come out here and we working on a project right now. If you want to come out here and rock with us, help us out." And I was like, hell yeah. And that was my first time coming to Cali. One of my first times being on the airplane. Definitely my first time seeing a mansion, being in a mansion, and being in a studio like that.
Can
like
you
with
tell
an
us
SSL
something that
board.
we will probably never know ourselves? Being in the studio with Dre. What does that feel like? What is it like? I can't even imagine.
Well, it was different back then than stories that I hear now. He's way more meticulous now. Back then, it was like, see, Dre has this divine, like, he has this divine energy where it's just like he just knows. It must be something that he just feel. It's a feeling that he gets when he knows something is right.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's right and he feels like it's right, it doesn't get righter. It's like Quincy Jones. It doesn't get more right than that.
That's it. That's what we're doing. That's what we're going with. That's the one.
Yeah, so he doesn't force things. So I learned this from him very early. He doesn't push, you know what I mean? So it's like he kind of indoctrinated this in me. It's like if you got an idea, I was like, yeah, because I was thinking about this one idea for like a bass line, but I couldn't do it. He was like, you can't do what? Like, what's the bass line? So I was telling him what it was. Next thing you know, he playing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and when you do things like that, for somebody that's young, you're teaching them that if you can hear it or if you can envision it, you can actualize it. Anything is possible. And the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work.
It doesn't
Right.
sound good.
Which
yeah,
is not
stop
the end
it.
of the world. It's
Yeah.
just
Right.
it's just rock and roll. You know what I mean? So it's just like, don't hoard those ideas because you never know what you could be thinking about. I took a stab at a lot of the different songs, and it was a few that he was liking. That was like they were in working sets.
Right.
That he was playing for people as the album, and then as time went on, they kind of started dropping off the playlist. And it was something about this beat. Lord Finesse did the beat, and it was something about it. It was just making me think of my homie that just got killed. So I just wrote a song. I just wrote the song from my perspective, exactly like how I would have wrote it for myself. I didn't know anything about.
And there was
So
no
you
Mary J.
wrote it
Blige.
for
No.
you. He wrote it for you. You're saying you wrote it
Yeah,
for
that's what
you.
he's saying. Yeah.
I didn't know anything about his brother.
brother.
I didn't know anything about that.
Okay.
Because he's not sitting you down going, yo, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about that. That's Puff. Puff does that.
Right.
Puff knows what he wants to say. Dre doesn't want to put things into your head to get you thinking too much.
He want to see what you got.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Because we already know, like, and I think that's an excellent way to approach if you're working on something like The Chronic, because what you're going to get is, like, most people submitting things and everybody's rapping about weed. That's not how you make an album.
Right.
You know, so it's probably better to just tell them to approach the beat with an open mind. So a beat like that, you wouldn't even really think that it would be on The Chronic. And I just liked it, and I was just like tired of just writing a bunch of other ideas.
Right.
So I was just letting it out anyway. You know what I mean? So everything that I said on there, paging his phone, paging his pager and all that, still in denial, all of that. I did all of that, speaking from firsthand experience.
Damn.
And
Oh,
every
just so
single
happy.
thing,
That's wild.
every single thing in that song, he did. You know what I mean? Like, and he didn't change. He didn't change not one word. Not one word.
That's 100%.
It's crazy
Royce the
too,
5'9".
Yeah, it's
Top
crazy
to
too because
bottom.
when
Well, you know, sometimes like when you collaborating and you coming up with something, you know, he may have an idea. He may be like, no, I'm gonna say this like this, or what if it's like his mailman to be in there, like, why don't you say straight in denial, because that's more Cali. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a creative like process like
like
that,
a-
with
yeah,
everybody's
it's like
kind of like
teamwork.
like involved. But with that song, nothing. It was just like nothing needed to be changed because it speaks to so many situations that's exactly like that.
yeah, when Kobe passed, the first song I played on the radio was The Message. Like right out the
Damn.
gate, man. Like that song, I love that song so much, and you know, you could feel it. So
And how crazy is it to write something like that and then have Dre be like, I'm not changing a single thing? That has got to be like the biggest compliment.
I mean, I was honored just to be there.
I mean, we talking about Royce though. Come on.
But this is back in
Come
the day,
on,
Royce.
you
Royce
talking-
was back in the day,
you talking
Royce.
Royce was spitting back in the day.
I know.
Man,
Bad Meets Evil,
you talking
scary
about,
movies.
You talking about me at 19, 20 years old? Man, I was just happy to be there. I'm still honored, always honored and privileged to be in his presence.
Right.
Same with DJ Premier. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what it is, but I never lose that.
That's right. He humble.
I'm
You
even
know he
like
the shit. He humble.
I'm even
I
like,
gotta talk shit for him.
Yeah,
I'm
you
even like
talking
that.
too much
I'm
shit.
even like that with Marshall sometimes. You know, like sometimes, I won't let them second guess things sometimes. You know what I mean? Because it's very difficult to go through so many different styles and be not a student of the game, but a scholar. You know what I mean? Like a scholar of the game. You know it from front to back. You're a historian and you're a technician. You're a practitioner. You're not just a rapper.
Right.
You got the words on the string. It's nothing. It's like Steph Curry dribbling. You know what I mean? It's a second nature type thing. You know what I mean? So it's like it's very easy to go through different styles and stop the world 3-4 times over and win every single award and, accumulate more money than you ever even thought about having. You don't even, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's very difficult to be in that space and then also still have a passion for creating. Where's the inspiration coming from? What are you gonna say? You said everything. You know what I mean? Like you can't even people can't even see a picture of your nose and they know it's you. There's nothing about you that people don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a very difficult position to be in.
Yeah.
So, and then fans being able to speak on things in real time, just looking at the
Changes
internet.
everything.
It's very easy for us as artists to get in our heads.
Right.
Not saying that I witnessed him getting his head, but I would never let him second guess anything. You know what I mean? Because nobody's like on. You know what I mean? Like Steph will pull up from half court. He gonna hit some, he gonna miss some.
Brick some, yeah.
It's okay to miss. It's okay to miss. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody's Superman out this motherfucker. Nobody.
Do you think M was in his head these last 2 albums?
I mean,
because
I think
the Kamikaze came out after Revival wasn't received so well.
Let me tell you something. I think that us as men, after we hit a certain age in our artistry, we think more. We think more as parents. We think more as significant other, friends. Like we have just a different perspective. You know what I mean? Like with Marshall, sometimes he's such a scientist, you can hear him thinking.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that some people, the people that complain, they may prefer the music that they got from him where it didn't sound like he even was thinking. Because there was a point in time where we'd be in a hotel room, we had to share a room, and he'd be pacing around, writing stuff down. And then, when he go in the studio, man, he go in the booth, and it's just like, it's like he taking a glass of water and just spilling it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's effortless. You know what I mean? Then when you reach a certain point, it's like, what should I talk about? You know what I mean? Like
shouldn't that be the point where like if you got to think about it, like, okay, what should I say next? Maybe that's the point where like walk away for a second, maybe let it breathe and then come back to it.
Yeah, that's a way to handle it, if that works for you.
Yeah, and I guess that.
But the only way
kind of hard for Eminem too, though.
Yeah, not to cut you off, brother, but the only way to know what works for you is to try things. You know what I mean? And when you have to do that in the public eye, it's a very, very problematic looking trial and error type of situation. But really, it's not. It's nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it either works or it doesn't. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anybody says. He is who he is. You know what I mean? Like you can have your opinion. But the facts, he is who he is.
He's done what he's done. You can't take that away from him.
I'm Ryan Montgomery.
Right.
That's who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what you like.
You're going to get this.
I'm Ryan Montgomery. This is who I was before I got here. So whatever it is, once we're in each other's presence and I decide that Ryan Montgomery is going to hold you accountable, whoever you are is going to come out. It's going to show.
Right.
And that's life. You know what I mean?
But not everyone's like that.
No,
people lose sight of who they are once they get to a certain level.
People get forced to be like that.
That's why they get forced. I think they just lose sight of like what's going on and they get distracted by other things.
I agree with Royce. I think the world around them changes, and it's like I don't think we can, as like just normal like radio people, right? We don't have the pressures of like an Eminem.
Duh.
When you're generating that much money and that many people depend on you, I think the world can really change. Like straight the fuck up, like.
But it don't really have nothing. It doesn't have anything to do with the state of the world. Like the Chronic is just a Chronic, bro. You know what I mean? Like you could release that shit. I don't care if we flying around here in spaceships. The Chronic is the Chronic. Thriller is Thriller.
Yep.
It transcends. Nobody goes into a boardroom and meets about how to sell it and all this whole shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. And that's why they call it classic, because it's something that you can't explain. It's just understood.
Did you know it was going to be a classic when you heard it, 2001?
No.
Or when you were working on it?
No, you never know it's a classic. You never know. You know what I mean? You put your best foot forward, and then it goes out there and it reacts. And if it impacts in a way that just kind of shifts things, like if it feels like things just met up all at the same time, everything happened and fell in place at the same time, that's what classic shit is.
And I know there's records that you worked on, because I think you've spoken about it with Dre for the Chronic 2001 that didn't make the cut.
Mm-hmm.
But I also heard, tell me if this is true or false, you wrote the original Explosive? I don't know if that's a rumor or not.
I wrote to the beat, so it's not the original Explosive. That's an inaccuracy. Like the song I wrote was a song called "The Way I Be Pimpin'."
Hey.
So when Corrupt and them got it, when they got it, they totally reapproached it. So it's a completely different song,
right.
Just the same beat. I didn't even use the term explosive on my version. But the song that I did, it was one of the ones that was standing the test of time for a minute.
Okay.
But I mean, shit, it's just like Renegade. You know what I mean? It's like once the final version gets done, you feel the difference. You
were okay with it?
I'm okay with anything Dre says. Anything Dre says. If he says it, I'm okay with it. If it has anything to do with creativity and insight, foresight, I'm okay with it. Same with Marshall. I didn't agree with everything on the Bad Meets Evil album. I didn't agree with everything that his input with Slaughterhouse. I didn't agree with everything.
Right.
But I trust him.
But how hard is it to not take that personal? Like, I know it's just business at the end of the day, but how hard is it not to take it personal? Like, Jay does your lines over Renegade, or that, what you're saying right now, that Corrupt took the record and made it something completely different.
No, it's not personal. It's not personal, and it's not business. It's neither one. It's just what it's supposed to be. Like, Marshall loves Jay-Z. You know what I mean? Like, we're like fans of this shit first. You know what I mean? Like, he was in a position where he wasn't able to tell Jay-Z yes to a few different things because schedule conflictions and things like that. So this was something that had to happen. It had to happen. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just what it is. And in terms of like what I said, like not agreeing with certain things creatively,
right? That
happens. But the trust is just the trust. The trust is from watching him be right. So, same with Premier, man. Like, we had straight up arguments about Prime stuff with Prime. And if it's something that he's very, very adamant about, I'll try to push.
Right.
But if I see him fighting hard enough, I back off, because at the end of the day, he's still DJ Premier.
Right.
He's been wrong. He's been right. But when he's right, it doesn't get more right.
No one touches him. Yep.
And I think we lose touch of that as artists sometimes. Things may shift. I remember Marshall going on the road and doing the Up in Smoke tour, and there was like talks being had about who was gonna go first between him and Ice Cube. And Marshall just stepped in and was like, "Listen, I can end this for y'all real quick. Ice Cube is a legend. I don't care what's going on right now. There's nothing that I'm doing right now that can measure up to the impact and to the contributions that he's given to this game. I'll go before Ice Cube." Good.
There we go. Well, hey, man, Royce and 5 album in stores this Friday. Thank you for doing Hot Takes.
Thank you for having me.
Real quick, because I see Kid Vicious in the corner. Know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And we're going to end it like this.
And bitch, drop down on your ass like...
You're going to be able to see the street sign. Ain't no street sign. You're going to see
we got guns too. We got guns too. Bitch.
And I'm glad you're sober, Royce, because, man, you are a great example. You are a prime example, no pun intended, of what you can do when you change your life. But my favorite drunken Royce of 5'9" moment, Benzino beef in the studio, Blue Cubs busted out the rocket launcher. Man.
I had not seen this video until he pulled it up, and he made me watch it.
He made you watch it?
He made me watch it right before this.
Where do you buy? It looked like Halo. Where do you buy a rocket launcher?
I don't know, man. I don't even know. I don't even know, man. Like I was at that time. I had been so involved in so many really, really bad situations. And I went to war a few times in my life. You know, like not like war like rappers rap about, but war. Like
real
rappers
war.
die about.
Oh shit, okay.
And I built this ecosystem around myself where I was just prepared, you know, like what that shit Benzino was talking about. I was over prepared for that. You know what I mean? Like so it just I learned a lot just by dealing with those kinds of situations. One of the things it taught me is just not to take things so personal, because he's a lunatic. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he's a lunatic, I'm a lunatic. You know what I'm saying? We both wake up feeling different ways, different days. And it's at the end of the day, it's rap. It's fucking rap. It's nothing to get all messed up about like that. You know, it's nothing to be showing each other guns about. You know what I mean? But you live, you learn.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, shout out to Benzino and, you know, anybody else who I ever had a words back and forth with. I'm pretty sure we figured out a way to pull a positive out of it.
I like the new Royce of 5'9", man.
That's spirituality. You
Pretty inspiring guy.
Go ahead. Okay.
Well, hey, Royce, thank you, brother.
Thank you for having me, man. It's an honor and a privilege to be here, man.
Nah,
Love and respect.
man, likewise, man. We are genuinely huge fans. I told your record rep already, get us some music so I can play it tonight. I just need clean versions because that's done. But thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
the fact that you're here on K-Day out of all stations, that means the world to us. And it means the world to people who are watching this right now, too. So, appreciate you.
Love and respect.